Never mind. Time is it? Oh, 7:02. So, I am just on time. Yes. But I have no charge on my phone, which is a disgrace at this moment. So I have no cable to plug this in. So oh yeah, I do have one. Just give me a sec. Oh, you brought me my salt. Excellent. It's a good thing. I need the salt. Remember that. So otherwise I turn back to an ugly monster and you don't want to see that. So excellent. Okay, so I got this charging. I got the iPad working. I'm not using my usual camera like other times. So this is why it probably looks a little bit lower. So thank you for joining the Mothership today. We're starting with 3 people, which is a good thing. I start with less. Anyway, so today I decided to make this more like a Q&A kind of session. Not really that long, hopefully. Probably less than an hour in this case. About mainly, obviously, Star Trek and probably some upcoming projects that I have. And since I have no material ready for this week, that's why I decided to make a live stream instead. So anyway, I cannot see who is online. This is kind of weird for me. I have no idea how to. No, I have no way to see who is joining this. So I'm probably gonna have to watch this from another device. Anyway. I cannot see this. I was supposed to get ready before, but unfortunately I couldn't get my stuff ready because I had to go out for a few hours, and then when I came back I was like really exhausted. So but I'm back anyway. So I'm looking at, here we go. Probably I'm gonna have a delay here. So I'm gonna mute this one. Okay, close. And so, hi from Idaho, US of A. Excellent. So, David, thank you for joining the Mothership. Most of the times I get like some of my regulars, like some of guys have been following the channel since the beginning, which is almost, it's already been 3.5 years now since I've been in this channel. And so many of you have been incredibly loyal and have been like following all the craziness that I've done here and all the mess with all the hiatus that has been worldwide and personal. So, and decided to make this more like a Q&A, considering that I have nothing else to do probably. So I left this one message on my community post. I have no idea how to call this, where you can just post and place pictures and stuff, announcing halfway through season 1. I think you did somewhere probably around episode 16, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, probably. So I got this one question actually from Mamoru Chiba. I hope I'm saying this correctly, Mamoru Chiba. And the first question I got here is like, have I made a decision yet regarding which Star Trek series I'll be watching next? And yes, I've already made up my mind. And I already actually got the DVD ready, which will be the animated series. It's probably going to take a while for me to get it because of some logistics issues. But I already got the series. Of course, I haven't even opened it because I don't want to spoil myself after this. So what I believe is that after I'm finished with the original series, I'm gonna move immediately with the animated series, and then I'll probably gonna be doing the next generation right after that. A lot of people have recommended to watch this series that it's more like a fan made, but for what I've heard from you guys is that it's a really good production and that it's really good and that I should actually give it a shot. I think about a year ago I made some polls about what Star Trek series I should be watching after this, and I can't remember exactly which ones were chosen, but a big favorite was the New Generation, and I understand that this is like a must watch after the original series, considering the kind of story and all this mythology, this mythos that it brings, not only from the original series. I'm just speaking my whatever I've heard because I haven't seen any of it. And as you can see, I'm right in the middle of the series. I know it's taken forever, but like as a project as it is, and that I've never had a channel before, I'm taking my time doing this. So sorry about that, guys. But you know, there's so much work I can actually do in 1 week, and even though I would love to bring 5 episodes in a week, I don't have the life to to do that anyway. So basically, that's the plan. During the animated series, I have no idea how many episodes are in the animated series. Actually, I should take a look at how many episodes are there. So bear with me. I'm gonna check just for a second. Okay, so Star Trek animated series. Let's see. There are 2 seasons. Start in 1973. Animated 3. Oh, 30. Make up your minds. 32, 28. I got here on Google, it says 22. Go figure. Let's see, Wikipedia. What does Wikipedia has to say about this? It says spanning 22 episodes over 2 seasons. The second series in the Star Trek franchise. It features mostly the same characters as Star Trek the original series set in the 23rd century. Basically, so yeah, I got this information pretty much correct. I just never wondered how many episodes are here. I love the fact that they actually have. Don't worry. I kind of got my info here correct that the voices were pretty much from the same actors. So I got here William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, DeForest Kelly, James Doohan, Nichelle Nichols, and George Takei, and Majel Barrett. There's more. The second season was just leftover episodes, so it's really short. Oh, so for every episode is about 23 to 24 minutes, which is actually great. In fact, when I'm doing my editing on some of my videos, for example on the Twilight Zone episodes, they are about 25 minutes long, and so it's a lot easier for me to edit those. It is considered an official extension. That's pretty much what I've heard too, that this is just a continuation from the original series, but this case is just animated. In my opinion, I do enjoy the animation from back in the 70s, but I'm an 80s child, so I'm more into, the 80s kind of animation. Some people don't see the difference. I do tend to see a large difference between the animation from 70s to the 80s and of course through the 90s. A lot of gems in the 90s in my opinion, even though back in the 90s I wasn't watching cartoons anymore. Some cartoons, I can't remember what cartoons I was watching in the 90s. The Simpsons. South Park. But I can't remember what else was I watching back in the 90s. The 90s for me were more sitcoms and soap operas back in the day. But yeah, I'm an 80s child, so basically everything I remember come from 80s animation. It was sold as a Saturday morning cartoon for kids to NBC, adult themes. Well, back in the day, they really didn't care about um, the subjects, you know. Or at least I remember I could go into the cinema and watch whatever movie I wanted. Well, not any movie, but even if it was a restricted movie, I could just go in and watch it. So um, I think I'm kind of excited to watch the animated series as soon as I'm finished with this one because it'll make something different in this channel. It will be probably the first animated anything that I would be watching. So I think it will be something different, something fresh, considering it was made in 1973, but still fresh for the channel. So I'm actually kind of excited to get through that. So yeah, that will be my selection though. Now, about the movies reaction, I'm actually kind of excited to see the numbers going on my Forbidden Planet reaction video. I enjoyed the movie greatly back when I watched it. I still remember watching it, and I had a great time, and I wasn't expecting it to be such a masterpiece. So in the comments in that movie, a lot of people recommended The Day the Earth Stood Still, which is going to be my absolute next movie. This is a decision that I've already made. The problem is that I cannot find it. Good evening, Mothership. I have no idea how am I gonna get that movie, but I'm doing an effort. The thing is, if you have any kind of streaming, it gets blocked. I don't have any VPN service hired so far. I'm probably gonna have to hire one, um, because I really want to watch that. Now, The World of Worlds, War of the Worlds from 1954. It's also on my list, but I think since I also enjoy new movies, well, considering new, for example, I watched Top Gun. New. It's gonna be 40 years old anyway, but yeah, in the news section, I enjoyed watching Top Gun for, just for the laughs of it. Um, but it's still kind of, I wanted to make a continuation from Top Gun and make it Top Gun Maverick. I've heard great reviews from Top Gun Maverick, so probably it's going to be after The Day the Earth Stood Still, and then War of the Worlds. As always, you know that my biggest problems right now is finding the time to edit the videos and especially finding the perfect flow. I've already established some of the flow for my productions. Um, Only thing needed is a new camera, but it's coming soon. It's coming soon. I promise. I'm gonna get a much better camera that will make everything a lot easier than what's happening right now. The problem with the camera that I have, I can show you the camera. It's right over here. No, I can't. It's just that unlike my father, all the cables are everywhere except the place they should be. Anyway, I got this lamp right on my face and it's really killing my eyes. Anyway, shit. Sorry. Let me fix that. Really quickly. And I just made a big mess here. Don't worry. I'll fix it. There we go. And let me clamp this one here. There we go. Much better. So this is my camera. It's been with me for, holy shit, I can't remember how long we had this. Probably 10 years, somewhere between 8 to 10 years I've had this camera. This has been my professional camera. I do many services with this. I've done weddings, I've done quinceañeras, I've done conference photography, I've done indoors portrait fixed photography and all that. So this is professional camera and I love it, but it's not really meant to make videos. So my latest videos have been made with this camera, which I am using because it has a much better quality than my iPad, as you can see, or my previous videos were done with this iPhone. This is, yeah, I'm kind of nuts. Kinda, it's one nice way to put it. Anyway, I used to make my videos first with this one, and then I started doing. This is an iPhone 8. It's kind of old. It's only 64 gigabytes, which means nothing when you're doing a long video. And then I started using now this camera, my Canon, but I definitely need another one. So this year I made the big expense of buying a computer that I'm gonna have to start upgrading because it's, for example, I would have been doing I would be do this shit I would be doing this stream using my computer. The thing is that the fans are so bloody loud, and I mean like loud, that just makes this impossible to go through. So that's why I'm not using it. So I'm gonna have to start upgrading my computer, get better fans. I already got. Oh, it's not here. No, it's not here. But I already got a What do you call this? It's a video card. It's an NVIDIA something. So I couldn't put it because the power on this computer is not strong enough. So I gotta get another power, and then better fans, and so that I can install the video card. And so I'm gonna have a very decent machine to continue with my work anyway. So I saw some people was giving some comments, but I wasn't really looking at my screen. I have no idea what I've done here. Anyway, that's city. Oh, you mean the city on the edge of forever? Because if that was the thing, man, that was probably one of my favorite episodes ever, and I mean like really, really ever. I loved it. It's probably in my top 5 episodes so far. I don't know. I mean, I've been trying to do some lists on some of the my favorite episodes and the ones that I hated the most. The thing is that um, it kind of becomes a little bit difficult when you want to say I didn't like this episode because of this and this, and turns out that that's probably some other person's favorite part or favorite episode. For example, Wolf in the Fold. For me, Wolf in the Fold was like so bloody bonkers that I couldn't believe I was watching. No, I was believing that I was watching such a bonkers episode. What I couldn't believe is that someone actually green lighted it and say, yeah, 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 just go with it. It's perfect. I couldn't believe someone doing that. The same thing happened with the alternative factor. Same thing happened with Friday's Child. Like, I couldn't believe someone actually green lighted it. And turns out that some people actually loved it. So, epic tragedy. Yeah, for the City of the Age of Forever, for me, that was a horrible, horrible tragedy. I've already seen Spaceyed. Spaceyed is the one with Khan. Because if that's it, it's on my channel. Like, you can actually find it. It is, isn't it? Spaceyed, yeah. The only episode that doesn't have, the only episode for which I don't have either a comment or a reaction video, is the one with the Klingon. Season 1, episode 25. I can't remember the name of it. Oh, fuck it. Oh, guys, come on, help me up here. I can't remember the name of it. Errand of Mercy, yes, thank you. Season 1, episode 25, Errand of Mercy. So the problem with that episode is that I was doing the reaction video for it, which was going to go straight to Patreon, and I had a horrible, horrible microphone that I thought it was a lifesaver. It turns out that it just ruined one of my reaction videos, and you couldn't hear any audio. It was just this noise, and so I just had to disregard that recording. And so instead of showing that on my Patreon, I made my Gojira reaction video available for my Patreon. So if you're not a patron or a YouTube member yet, you can watch that only through those. Like it was available on YouTube. Turns out my video got banned because of copyright. So I decided to put it on my private server, and that's how you can access it. So yeah, that's it. That's that. Um, and so that's pretty much what I've got. Is one of the best. Yeah, and you know what? Nobody voted for that episode, so it kind of brings, the question like, how come the Klingon episodes got absolutely no votes? Now the problem with the second season is that I counted the votes and I only separated the ones that got the most votes, and that's how we got a mock time and the trouble with tribbles and the deadly years and obsession and all of those. But I no longer have the sheet of paper where I had the other episodes. So those are gonna go straight to Patreon as a reaction video, and I'm gonna do the review videos the same fashion I've done so far. Friday's Child and Wolf in the Fall. I'm gonna continue bashing the shit out of those episodes. I don't care. Like, I've really liked. You don't like the Klingon look. It's a start, from my opinion. It's a start to get those kind of canon, I would say. It's a canon. Klingons have already shown to be one way, and so far I've already had 3 Klingon appearances, whereas I've only had 2 Romulan based episodes. Okay, I've got Balance of Terror, and I got the one with Sadek. No, which I can't remember. Fuck, I'm forgetting everything. But there's one with the Romulans that never show up. We only see the ships of the Romulans, but we never get to see a single Romulan. So yeah, the Deadly Years where they get all right, where this guy made the wrong decisions. So so far, from the get go, Star Trek has been very, oriented on showing us who are going to be the antagonists of the Federation, and so far the Klingons have been taken a big step into it. I have to say that I really like the way that some of these Klingons have been portrayed. They are not the generic bad guy, and this is something that I really appreciate. It's not like, ooh, this specific species is bad, so they all behave the same or they all have the same traits. In this case, they are Klingons, but each one of them has had a different personality, and this is something that I really enjoy because even though they are a different species, they are still unique. A season end recap might be nice, just where I list my favorite. Well, I did that. I think I already did that on my first season. I think I did that in some of my first live stream. The problem is that, well, it's not a problem, but as you grow as a YouTube channel, you only get certain traits that you can use. I think until I got 500 subscribers was that I could post my community posts, like photos and polls and all that. That was until I got the 500 mark. So that year and a half it took me to get to those 500 subscribers, I really couldn't do much. Not that I'm over the 1,000. The big milestone that you have to break is the 1,000 subscribers, because that's when you can start monetizing. That's because you can start doing more things like having YouTube members and so on. You can sell merchandise, which I haven't decided what to sell, but I do want to give a product just as a nice souvenir of the Mothership. So I really don't know what to sell. Maybe you guys can give me some ideas what could be a good type of merchandise that doesn't cost me an eye to sell, right? So going back to the Klingons, I loved the energy of some of those. Like obviously, you guys know that I loved William Campbell's performance. Um, Such spark, such vitality in his performance. Very different from Crass from Friday's Child, um, and obviously none of them are anywhere near Commander Core. You know, they're very different, but they are still very unique. And this is probably the thing that I really, really, really enjoyed anyway. So I hope some of the expectations I have for Star Trek is probably to get to know more alien species. I'm pretty sure he did because you can see how much he loved doing, portraying his character Koloth. Uh, but I think he enjoyed being Trelane a lot more. I mean, that performance was amazing. Like I said, and I'm never gonna get tired of saying this. I didn't like the character much, but I enjoyed the performance so badly because you could tell like he owned it. He owned it so well, and this is why I really enjoyed it. But there have been many other actors through this first half I've watched so far that I've enjoyed their performances a lot. I loved, um, is it John Christopher? Yeah, Captain Christopher from Tomorrow is Yesterday. That's probably one of my favorite characters so far. He's probably in my top five as well. I loved how he kept things well together and how intelligent he was, but he was also very outgoing. He was brave, also. So I enjoyed this character a lot. And some of the characters that I have to say, Jesus Christ Almighty, why would you have actually casted this guy? Would be obviously the alternative factor with Lazarus. No, and I understand. I've heard the story before. Like they had to replace the original actor, and they just got this other guy, and they brought him in. But yeah, why? I wouldn't have done that. I really like Sarek's character. I have to say, I it's not my favorite character, but I like the way that he was portrayed. Makes sense being a Vulcan, being uh, the way that he has to be, and at the same time, he's very different from Spock. So I think one of my expectations, we already got a mock time, but I would love to see more about the Vulcan culture. We already saw a big glimpse, and I know that this is a very important episode for the Vulcan, if they ever existed. But I would like to see more. I would like to know more. I would like to know more about how they do things, how they work things, not just how they get married. I would love more about how they get involved in the Federation. This is something that I would really like to watch. So yeah, I got those expectations, like, you know, getting to know more species and obviously to see more about the Vulcan, not only through Spock's eyes. I don't think I am that entertained. Um, yeah, it will. We get to know a lot about Vulcans, but in the end, he's not 100% Vulcan. He's 50-50. So learning more about the Vulcan way, the Vulcan culture from somebody else's eyes would be something that I would really like to watch. Um, Now, the alternative factor, I don't know what to say about it. I have to say I didn't enjoy it. It was so unenjoyable for me that I didn't have anything to say about the episode. So when I needed to do the review video, I just made a piece of shit episode because I didn't have any other ideas about what to say. I couldn't. But like I said before, by the time we learn what Lazarus really is, I couldn't care less. Sorry, I have to catch it. Okay. Oh, don't worry. If you do make the same suggestions, I don't mind. That actually reminds me because as you can see, I can't remember a single thing. Okay, so my question was always where were Sarek and Amanda at Spock's wedding? Couldn't even bother. Good point. Like, but if Sarek was not really in speaking terms with Spock, that will be super clear as to why they weren't there. Yeah, I suppose the food was still on. Like, Sarek will still be kind of disappointed because of, Spock's career choice. And so I imagine that's why they're not there. What my question has always remained being is they, well, McCoy made everyone believe that Kirk died. And then we see, I mean, for the Vulcans, Captain Kirk is dead. And yet we see Sarek as an ambassador who should be aware of these things traveling in his ship. So how do they explain this? Like, oh yeah, he was dead, but as soon as we got him back in the Enterprise, he just came back to life. Can you believe this? Like, how do they explain the fact that he's not really dead? That's my question. That's my sister, by the way. Um, so that's like how do they solve it? But in the end, like it's not like Star Trek really paid attention to a lot of details, especially in terms of continuity and other details. They really didn't care since they were not the same way as today's shows are, that you have to have one right after the other and there's a storyline going from the first episode to the last episode. This was more like an anthology. Well, it's not an anthology, but it's certainly not in a specific order. So that's why you could skip some stuff. In my case, I'm watching them in the right order, so obviously some of these flaws are going to be very apparent. So, I think T'Pau knew something was going on from the get-go. Why bother getting permission from the Federation for them to execute Kirk if Kirk is dead? Not a great theory, but a theory. But still, like, listen, if T'Pau, being such an important person for the Vulcans, is fooled, because she was actually fooled by a doctor, I'm not sure I would want to still be part of that federation. You know, like that was highly disrespectful. Yes, you were saving Kirk's life, but in the end, he was playing by Vulcan rules. I don't know. It's just my theory, but in the end, it's just a TV show, so I really don't want to ponder too much into it. Okay, so give me 10 seconds only. Be right back. You can see it. Be right back. So, back here. I've also decided to make a list in this channel. I'm going to start another list, but this is not going to be an episode list. This is not going to be any of that. It's going to be diplomatic immunity in my channel. Okay, what does this mean? It means that if that person is in this diplomatic immunity list, they won't get a single bad review or critique from me. Okay? And let's start. Ah, shit, I used the wrong marker. No, this is... Can you believe it doesn't erase? Crap. How you figured that one out? Okay, but the first person that I'm going to put in this diplomatic immunity list is going to be Nichelle Nichols. Go figure. So, very well earned. No bad criticism from me. Everything she does is perfect. Deal with it. She gets absolutely no bad criticism from me. Okay? And obviously, these lists are only chosen by me. Okay? So let's put here Nichelle Nichols. Okay? There she is. No, that's the first thing I'm going to start, trashing. Like his shirts. How they break so easily. I don't understand how can his shirts be, aren't they supposed to be velour or like velvet or something? They break so easily. So yeah. Nichelle is in this list. William Campbell, number 2. There we go. These are the only 2 people so far that get absolutely no bad criticism from me on this channel. Okay? And if you want to mention them, wash your mouth before you mention them. Okay, we get an agreement. Nice. Okay, so that will be some of the things that I wanted to share. Okay, so yes, I will be going for the animated series. World of the Worlds. War of the Worlds is going to be my next movie, followed by Top Gun Maverick, and then no, sorry, it's The Day the Earth Stood Still. Sorry, from 1951. Then Top Gun Maverick. Now I've some people have recommended the War of the Worlds. Some other people have recommended other type of movies like 2001. Here's the issue, though. I remember I watched 2001, but I was probably 12, 13 years old when I watched it. So a lot of the details are absolutely gone. I can only remember certain scenes from that. I remember what the things that stuck with me that I just couldn't forget and that I was like so into it is when Hal starts reading this guy's lips. I was like, are you kidding me? Can it actually read lips? And it does. So this is the part that I remember the most. So I was thinking maybe doing a revisiting of 2001, seeing it now from a completely different perspective because you cannot, like, I could not say the same about the movie from when I was, like I said, I can't remember if I was probably 11 or 12 when I watched it. And now watching it again, it's going to be a completely different way to watch it. So I might be doing that. Um, I cannot say the same for more recent movies like Aliens, uh, Blade Runner. Seen them, I own them, so I don't think I would be doing any of that. As you can see in the back, one of my favorite, I got 2 of my favorite 2 sci-fi movies over there. I've got Terminator 2, which is the last VCR there. And then I got Strange Days, which is probably one of my favorite movies ever. A lot of people will hate that movie, but in my opinion, it was such a great movie when I watched it. So if you haven't watched it, please go see it. That's Ray Fiennes, Angela Bassett, Tom Sizemore, God rest his soul, and Juliette Lewis, Michael Wincott. Love the movie. Please watch it if you can. Sci-fi B movies. Well, you know what? I don't know that many B movies, so probably some recommendations will come in handy. She wasn't able to show off her dancing abilities more often, but we got to hear her singing, so I think that's beautiful enough for this series that we get to hear her singing. I do understand that she was a very accomplished artist, not just an actress. And I love the fact that back in the 60s she was able to nail such a big character as Lieutenant Uhura. So, uh, you know, it's incredibly admirable, commendable to see someone with, considering the context back in the 60s. No, I don't know the story of her almost leaving the show. That would have been awful. How would they dare? Like, first Basket Lady, Janice Rand, I think was her name. For me, it's Basket Lady. She left the show. I was really, really disappointed knowing that she was not coming back. And then they just started bringing other humans. So, a singing and dancing moment from Nichelle? Because if that is, I would love to see it. I've seen a lot of comments from you guys that have actually met, like Nichelle Nichols. I was reviewing some of the comments today in some of my posts, and some guys were amazingly lucky to have met some of the important heads here um, in Star Trek. So she wanted to go back to dancing and singing after season one, after meeting Dr. King, though he convinced, I suppose, Martin Luther, stay in inspiration of Two Women in Blacks. Yeah, I do remember that she was convinced by Dr. King to remain, and I just learned something more about Martin Luther King, and that is that he paid. You're not gonna believe this unless you've already heard it. Um, Basically, he paid for Julia Roberts' delivery. Like, this is a weird story, but yeah, they were friends with Martin Luther King, and he basically paid for her birth, you know? So if you're interested in that story, go check it out. I just heard about it, and we were like, are you kidding? It's kind of interesting. So, um, Dr. King had this school where there were absolutely no discrimination whatsoever, and that's how they met Julia Roberts' parents. So yeah, it's kind of a thing, right? Um, but I have to say, one of the things that I enjoyed about watching not only Star Trek but also the Twilight Zone is some more context of America, well, the United States, obviously, um, that we as foreigners we don't really get to learn unless you are really into it. Um, so basically, everything we hear about the '60s in America is, the hippie era, and obviously the worst part of the segregation and racism and all that, and the Martin Luther King, you know, some big things happen in the '60s, like JFK and then Robert Kennedy, and landing on the moon and all that. So I think a little more context than just what it's already worldwide known. You got to meet her. Great. 2019. You had a copy of her first fiction novel, and oh, this is great. That's really, really good. Like somebody being known for something different. There's a cartoon artist here in Mexico that I really love. His artistic name is Trino. And one day I was teaching at this hotel. They had this really nice restaurant, and I was teaching, and I was walking back to the reception area to ask for something, and then I saw him there having lunch. So a cartoonist, I don't know, he makes political cartoons and some other comic books. Um, it's not easy that you get recognized on the street. Like people will recognize your doodles, but they wouldn't see your face. And I recognized him, and I was like really scared. Like I was really shy to ask him for an autograph. The thing is that I do follow him on Twitter, and as he was having lunch there, I tweeted, I am at the same restaurant as he is, and I am too shy to ask for an autograph. And he answered me back, and he said, please come and I will get your autograph, and I will ask for two more cartoon artists that I'm right now with to give you one. And so I did. So I asked some of my students, like, please give me a notebook. I need to get an autograph. Like, this was so important for me. And this is how I got these three. These are some of my treasures. In case you wonder, what is that behind? What are those pictures? Well, this is Trino's autograph. He this is a character that he makes. He makes a little king, and it appears in most in some newspaper here in Mexico. So this is like, Tamara, I'll send you a hug, right? And this is like one of his characters. This is Trino's autograph. Then he was with two other guys. One of them, his name, well, his artistic name is Beth. You will see him. He made this Brontosaurus. I'm not endorsed by Domino's Pizza. They're not endorsing me. So basically, just wrote Tamara, and this is his signature, Beth. This was in 2015. I am so old. And then my last one is by a guy named His, with a G. Well, with a J, sorry. His. And he makes really weird, like, he just make one vignette cartoons. He's also published in newspaper, but he's like, his thing is like way deeper. Like, some people don't get his cartoons, and ever since he gave me this, it says hello Tamara, and then it says hello bonbon, which is like a candy. Like, when someone is cute, you call them bonbon. So yeah, I got these. I really liked having these for me. They were an important treasure, and that's why I have them back in my wall. So I'm not gonna go back and put them. I'm just gonna put them later there. So yeah, sometimes when you recognize someone for their written work, it gets to be very surprising for them, because it's difficult, unless you are super famous like Stephen King or J.K. Rowling's, where you can actually remember their face, right? So I imagine for Mrs. Nichols, this was like amazing, to be known not only for Star Trek, but because of something else. Man, that's gotta be awesome. So let's see. You met everyone from the original series at least once. Whoa. Convention in December, and both Shatner will be there. I would love to know both. Like, considering they're the ones remaining, I suppose there are more people remaining still. I don't know. I do remember when DeForest Kelly died. This was a long time ago, and my dad was actually like, "Oh my God, I can't believe he actually died." Like, he was really sad when it happened. But time flies, and for what I could see, he was the oldest of the trio. So yeah, at some point he had to pass. Um, and I obviously remember when Leonard Nimoy passed. This was a huge thing back in the 2010 something. I mean, we got to see him on the first remake. So, oh yeah, Takei. Yeah, I follow him on Twitter. I forgot that. Like, George Takei, I follow him on Twitter. I follow William Shatner obviously ever since I started the channel. Follow him on Twitter as well. I don't know if Checkup has a Twitter account. Let me check. Because I remember I started following everyone from the first season, but he wasn't in the first season. So that's why I didn't follow him. So I'm going to check if he has a Twitter account. So let me check. I don't recommend you to follow me on Twitter, because everything I tweet is in Spanish. So probably boring for a lot of people. So let's see. Oh yeah, he does have. Well, it's not Twitter anymore. X. I'm gonna follow him right now. Okay, so in case. Yeah, my phone is broken. don't mind it. Okay, so that's his. And following. So, um, yeah, my Twitter is the same as my Instagram. So it's the same, but like I said, it's in Spanish. I'm really into politics in Mexico because, we have to complain about something, and the best thing to complain about is politics. And so I complain a lot about politics here, and I am very politics oriented, and sometimes I like to bash other artists that I don't like. I'm not a troll per se. I just don't take shit seriously on Twitter or X anyway. I didn't know though that Mr. I don't know how to pronounce this. Mr. Walter Koenig, Chekhov, was also in Babylon 5. And you know what? Yeah, the hurricane. Listen, about the hurricane. Jesus Christ Almighty. If you can donate, please donate to the Red Cross. Okay? Don't try to get anything through our government because it's shite. And I'm going to say it openly, but some people is going to stop following me right there. But let's be honest, right now, the situation in Acapulco and Coyuca de Juarez, it's horrible. It's the strongest hurricane that has ever touched Mexican soil. Okay, it started as a tropical storm, and in just a matter of a few hours, it became a hurricane level 5 or category 5. The destruction right now in Acapulco is horrible. And I mean, like, absolute horror to see what actually happened there. The problem right now is there are no medicines, there's no food, and there's like groceries, like basic needs, basic necessities are lacking. What I've heard so far is that there is not really that much of an international support, but if you guys get to see that there's maybe some relief plan from your country that you can donate to Acapulco, please do so through the Red Cross, because situation there right now is really bad. um, some of the things that we have planned here is that maybe in a couple of months, like maybe 2 or 3 months. Hey Wayne, how's it going? It's great right now. So what I was saying is, what some people has been planning is to go have a vacation in a couple of months in Acapulco. Why? Because that way you're going to be helping the locals there. The problem is that this place is 100% a touristic place, and if there's no clientele, people is really gonna go in much worse need. So either if you can take a vacation, go visit down there. Maybe it's not gonna be that pretty, but you know that you will be helping people. Then that's gonna be okay. But please, if you can help, make a big effort to send something here through the Red Cross. The Red Cross is the institution that we respect and that we believe the most, because it has always kept away from any governmental office. So this is why we trust it. Yeah, the things in Hawaii were also kind of difficult over there. The problem here, especially in the area where it hit, like you will think, oh yeah, Acapulco, like it's a touristic place. But in all honesty, there's a lot of poor people in Acapulco. It's a place where it's a little less than 1 million people. It's like 800,000 residents. This is a proper city, okay? There's a lot of poverty as well. And the problem was not only Acapulco, it was also another town that is 30 minutes away from Acapulco called Coyuca de Juarez. And Coyuca de Juarez is not touristic place, but it got a pretty bad hit as well. The devastation there is horrible. And in the first week, people were just, ransacking every single store because they couldn't get any food. Okay, so what people has been doing right now everywhere in, like, I went shopping with my sister. We needed to get some stuff, so there are a couple of shops near where I live, and many of the stores have, we call it centro de acopio, which is where you can go and donate. So they are receiving, not only, they try not to receive money. We don't trust in giving money as a donation. We trust about giving things like food, toilet paper, sanitary towels, things that you might actually need. So this is what many stores are doing, and so we help as much as we can. The only city you've ever visited in Mexico is Cancun. Well, it's a very famous destination. I've been there myself a couple of times, probably 5 or 6 times, considering that it's a 24-hour ride. If you go by bus, it's only 2-hour flight, but everywhere, every flight is really expensive, even for us. And the stay there is also, like, kind of expensive. It's not as expensive as Los Cabos in Baja California. This is like really fucking expensive there. Cancun is like second expensive. No, I would say Tulum. In the Mayan Riviera, there are many cities there, and so there's a little place called Tulum. Tulum is actually expensive for Americans, so it's that expensive. Like, if it's expensive for Americans, it's fucking unpayable for me. I was there just a couple of months ago, and it's fucking expensive. A short visit from a cruise. Well, I hope you enjoyed the view from Cancun. Beautiful beaches. There's a lot of infrastructure. It was once hit by a hurricane, or was close there to be hit by a hurricane, but people there is a lot better organized than in other places, because there's a lot of entrepreneurship there, so they get better organized, to relieve and to rebuild, to do all the things that are needed. And so and the hurricane that it struck there was like category 2 or 3. It wasn't really that bad, but this time it was really, really strong. And like I said, there's a lot of people, and if you have a city that it's 800,000 people, a lot of them are poor, so, or working class, and they cannot afford a hurricane. So, well, I would say the hurricane is a lot worse, and let me tell you why. I got family living in a state in Mexico called Yucatan. Back in 2003, they had this horrible, horrible hurricane in that little town where they live. The destruction was awful. The aftermath of a hurricane, I think, in my opinion, is way worse than an earthquake. I will make a complete distinction here. When it's a hurricane, you're mostly near the ocean. Okay? When there's a hurricane, it's not just the wind destruction. It's not only that. And I mean, the winds can be so strong. One of my cousins told me that there was this telephone poles back in the day that are made of wood. You could see tuna cans completely lodged in the loch. That's how strong the wind is. It's so strong that a tuna can actually be embedded. If you are walking on the street, you get absolutely killed if you get hit by one of those things. There's a lot of destruction of, obviously, window panels. The roofs of the houses were torn apart, and those roofs most of the times have the gas installation. So that's another problem. The aftermath that comes after this is that everything is flooded because you are next to the ocean. So there's a lot of flooding. There's a lot of dead animals. A hurricane destroys, in my opinion, a lot more than an earthquake. Now, I was here in 2017 when an earthquake, it was like 7.3 in the Richter scale, hit Mexico City. There wasn't that much destruction. There was a lot of destruction, and we were there helping, okay? But the aftermath of an earthquake, there are no floods, there are no dead animals, at least not in Mexico City, because we're not next to the ocean, so we don't get that much water in. Ever since 1985 was another year of a horrible, horrible earthquake that was very devastating. Ever since then, every single architect in Mexico City has to specialize in big earthquakes. It's a half. I don't know how to say it, but you cannot build in Mexico City unless you know how to build for an earthquake. Okay. When the earthquake of 2017 happened, only a few buildings collapsed. Okay. They say there were only 9 buildings. I suppose there were about 20 buildings that had collapsed back in the day. So there's no comparison. Like the building where I live doesn't even have a crack. Okay, we don't have cracks in this building. Okay, I went to some of the buildings that did collapse. Horrible story, obviously, and I also visited some local villages, around Mexico City, and obviously I am in Mexico City right now. And some of the villages around Mexico City did suffer some damages, but not many houses had been collapsed. Um, so I think in these cases, an earthquake doesn't have that much destruction as a hurricane, at least considering how strong the earthquake from 2017, that was the strongest earthquake. Well, it was a very strong earthquake that destroyed a lot, but I have to say that was on September 19th. Okay, September 7th, 12 days before, we had another earthquake. That earthquake was 8 degrees Richter. It was that strong. The thing is that the epicenter was not so in the surface, it was a lot deeper, and it was only oscillatory in one direction. This is why we had absolutely no destruction whatsoever, and it was midnight when it happened. The one in 2017 was 7 point something. I think it was 7.4. It was at 1:15 in the afternoon. So a lot of people was visiting other buildings that did collapse, and that's why there were some dead people. Um, and in the surrounding areas, they also had some damages, but they didn't have to bring their dead animals, and they didn't have to rebuild the streets because they were flooded or anything. So it was a very strong earthquake, and I'm comparing it to the strongest hurricane that has ever touched land. And in my opinion, there was a lot more destruction in Acapulco than it ever happened in Mexico City. So yeah, I've never been myself in a hurricane, thank goodness. But I've been through a lot of earthquakes here in Mexico City. And the problem with Mexico City's soil is that we were on a lake. And because we were on a lake, the floor is not absolutely solid, it's still soggy because it was water back in the day, so it's not strong enough, and this is why the movement of the soil makes it so damaging, and this is why every architect has to have a special training for building specifically for the kind of earthquakes that we get in Mexico City. So yeah, every single building downtown Mexico City is where the lake was. Like the Aztecs came and they saw this place and they were like, "Ooh, yeah, nice. I want to live here. I want to make another Venice." And they started building their Venice, right? But that was downtown and it was right in the lake. Every single building there has now, ever since 1985, they had like a reinforcement, and it's a lot of technology. there. But basically, you definitely survive an earthquake in any of those buildings and it's not gonna collapse. I was there. Like, I used to work back in the day. I used to work in a newspaper that is right downtown, and I went through two earthquakes. You get dizzy, you feel the movement because the buildings really move. But they have this kind of the same kind of constructions that they do in Japan. They do special structures that they can actually go with the flow of the earthquake and they don't collapse. So this is why I do feel a lot safer here than I would feel if I were at the beach when a hurricane strikes. So yeah, hurricanes are a lot worse. Thank you for the question, by the way. Um, but yeah, basically that's it. So again, if you are still new to this live stream, if you can donate to Acapulco, please do it through the Red Cross. Okay, and finally, though, some of the things that happened since my last live stream is obviously Flash, obviously, and this is the subject that I really didn't want to approach until I kind of let feelings go, or kind of, you know, uh, stabilized. Flash was my dog, and he was pretty much the inspiration for this channel. I am so not kidding. Okay, Flash had been with me for about 13 years, and his departure really left a huge dent in both Robin's and mine life. Um, and having him go, I had to sleep him. He was under a lot of pain now. He couldn't walk. I didn't want to show him on screen. Robin right now is 4 years old. She was born in 2019 in April. Um, so she's still very, very young. Uh, and Flash received her so well. They were like Big Daddy and little girl. Um, but the problem with Flash is that he couldn't walk anymore. He couldn't walk, which means that he couldn't go pee, he couldn't go poop. I had to be doing all the cleaning. Obviously, he was not happy not being able, like, he couldn't even stand in his last days. He couldn't even stand well to eat. So he would eat while lying down. You know, I try to make him comfortable building this big bed uh, that he will be comfortable in. Now, Robin obviously has this bed. Um, Ever since he passed, I've had his ashes. You cannot see the ashes. Let me bring the urn. So, as you guys probably remember, he was a big dog. Okay, he was a big dog. So, when we had him sleep, I don't know, when we put him down, I hate to say this phrase, but basically that's what we decided to do. They gave us this amazing service of cremation. So I got his ashes over here in this beautiful metal urn, and has the date, his name, and what I'll be doing this with these ashes is that I'm gonna put them in a cherry tree. I love trees. So I have two pets already cremated. This Flash being one, and in 2017 I lost my cat. His name was Toothless. Well, he was not toothless. He was Chimuelo in Spanish, but the translation will be toothless. Um, he passed away. I do keep his ashes. They're not here. They're in the living room, and so I've decided to just put the ashes in a cherry tree, which unfortunately will not be able to be shown here in the channel because I live in an apartment, so I cannot have a cherry tree. So I'm gonna have to give this cherry tree to my parents. And probably you've seen some of my episodes happened at my parents' house, which is in a town that it's about 2 hours away from Mexico City. The town is really beautiful. It's called San Juan del Rio. It's in the state of Querétaro. Um, they have a very nice open space. I've shown this open space of my parents' house in some of my short videos and some of my other videos. I've shown that. And so basically, Flash is, how I started this channel, you know. And as him being a very important beginning of this channel, he has to have a very important part, but unfortunately the tree is not going to be able to be here anyway. I don't like having the ashes here. I don't know, this is something I'm not really comfortable. I'm not the kind of person that likes to keep ashes of dead people or dead pets or anything, so I'm just keeping them until I get the trees. And my parents stopped building their house. They're right now under construction, so that's why I haven't done any of that. Um, but yeah, Flash was basically why I started this channel. It's long story short. I had no idea what to do with my time. I was watching one of my favorite reactors on YouTube, and I just looked at Flash and I said, "What do you say if we start reacting?" Like, I talk to my animals. Don't get me wrong. I talk to them because I live alone. So I talk to Robin. I used to talk to Flash. I used to talk to Toothless. So I told them something like, we should react to something. Like, we are so good together, and that's how it came up, you know. And yeah, Flash was there until he couldn't. So it's really saddening, because I was with him for 13 years. Um, and for a moment you cannot imagine your life with someone, or you cannot imagine your life with a pet. Um, but considering that he passed so peacefully, he was surrounded by people that loved him. Um, it really doesn't break my heart that much, because I think his circle had already been complete here on Earth, you know. The only news we get about Mexico and the US is about the cartels. Yeah, well, that's pretty much what people get. It's been an increasing problem that this government, here I go, this government hasn't been dealing with successfully. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding about what I'm going to say, but our president says that we shouldn't fight them with guns, we should be fighting them with hugs. That's right. That's what he says. Um, so, yeah, unfortunately, there's this thing about the cartels. Where I live, Mexico City is probably the one city that doesn't have that issue because there's no space where we can grow pot. Okay, that's why, basically. But yeah, in some other states, things can be pretty brutal. Mexico City, thank goodness, and where my parents live are clean so far. Um, but I hope you guys get to see other kind of news. Things are not so bad here, and if they ever get to be, I'm gonna have to suck it up. Especially because I don't have an American visa, so that's why I'm gonna have to suck it up. But yeah, there are many other things happening here. We just had our, what you will call, um, Halloween. Hey, Craig from Albuquerque. My dad was in Albuquerque. Um, he brought me a geode and some stones from the mines from Albuquerque. Um, I don't remember him actually giving me like a mug or something. My sister does bring me a lot of things from different places. Breaking Bad show. Yeah, I did watch Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and El Dorado. I was a big fan. I started watching Breaking Bad way too late, um, but I really enjoyed it. The thing is, the guys from the cartels here in Mexico, they're pretty smart. Like, holy shit, the kind of technology that they are now using is not really that. It's pretty big. Like, they really reinvent themselves every single year, so they start, using more and more. I just hope, you know, let's be honest, cartels produce the drugs, but some other country is the one that consumes it. You know who I'm talking about. So, as long as these two countries start working together to get this problem under control, you know, yeah, they got the money for the technology, and they are getting well paid because that country is rich. Uh, and we have a lot of customers, we might say. I think one of the best solutions will be to legalize at least marijuana. Yay, they're helping. Shit. Yeah, they got a lot of money too, And I was watching the news recently and how people from the DEA and people from the CIA were kind of helping the cartels here. So it's the kind of problem that has just started to grow. I wish marijuana was legal here. I don't know if I can be saying this on YouTube anyway, but considering the kind of problem that is created not only in Mexico but in other countries in Latin America like Colombia and Bolivia, I think that would be the best solution. Like, just make it legal, you know? If it solves a lot of problems, and it also, the tax that came from the sales of this plant in some American states have actually helped in education, like in Colorado. Colorado was the first state to legalize it, and now the money that was taxed from these sales went to education. Now, I am not really that versed about the fentanyl. It's supposed to be forbidden here in my country because of the problems that it causes. The thing is that this chemical is also used for producing other kind of medications. So making it completely banned can create other problems, medical problems here, and we already got enough problems as it is. Like, our medical system sucks. It used to be bad, now it's basically non-existent. It's kind of sad to see it. So I know that this kind of problems means that there has to be a lot of cooperation, not only from two countries but from different offices and different experts and so on to make this thing actually work. So I really don't want to get into it because then this is just going to turn into another Twitter and you're going to hate me for it. So I really don't want to go into it. But yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame that everything you guys get to know about my country is about the bad shit, But it is what it is. It is what it is. And that doesn't make us, the rest of the good people, any less good or any more bad. Yeah, border issues as well. It's a shame we cannot share the border. It's a shame we cannot share our migration like you guys do with other countries. It's a shame. Like, I would love to know the United States. I would love to one day go and visit. I'm not rich, so I don't get a chance to get there. But life goes on. Life moves around, and probably things will change, like, border issues and, security issues. I just hope I get to be old enough to see those problems receding. I'm already old as it is, so I hope I still get a nice lifespan to see those problems changing in the future anyway. So unless you guys have any other question that I might answer right now, it's already been an hour and 20 minutes of me speaking as if my voice was that beautiful. Go figure. A couple of weeks, so you posted you're 55. Yeah, I'm 42. I'm gonna be 43 in, next year, at the beginning of the next year. So yeah, that's basically what it is. But you know, one of the things that actually make me laugh is that some people comment on my channel as if I am woke. I don't know how you guys say it, wokey, woke. I'm not woke. I'm absolutely not woke. But one of the comments that I really laughing out loud was on the movie. Yes, Craig, I actually was saying that I'm going to be watching the animated series as soon as I'm finished with the original series. Anyway, I was looking at my, I reacted to The Searchers with John Wayne, and I just made a comment like how the first, Debbie, I think, is the first daughter. Anyway, the older sister dies, and I did understand that she died a horrible death, like she had the worst last moments of her life, and then she dies, right? But I said something like, she dies, and somebody said she didn't die, she was raped and tortured and whatnot. You woke people make me want to vomit or something like that. I don't even answer those comments, because what I would have answered was like, dude, this is a movie. Chill out. Okay? Yeah, I've said I've said the word woke a couple of times, and people go like, no, woke means this, and no, woke means this. In the end, it's all going to be a generalization of one ideology. And it's an ideology I don't feel identified with. Okay? Maybe I might agree with some of those things, but I don't agree with it on 100%. I would say I don't even agree with it in a 50%. But I don't agree either with, I'm gonna have to use this word, and I hate fucking using it because that will make me a millennial. But I don't agree many of the boomers' way of thinking. Okay. Oh, okay. I also got this other comment from Forbidden Planet. This I was gonna answer him, but I just don't want people to see me that confrontational when answering these mean comments. Um, but there's this part in Forbidden Planet is when Jerry is with Alta, and he gets really close to her, like touching her shoulder, well, the back of her shoulders with his chest. And I was like, hey, personal space, right? Like, I wouldn't want a guy that I just met 3 minutes ago to put his fucking chest on my back. I'm sorry. No. No. Okay? And this guy was like, oh, God, how? Don't be so woke. Oh, I hope I use my pronouns correctly. I would like to answer to that person right now. And if you guys find them, tell them I just gave him this answer. Let's change places. You be Jerry. And instead of having Alta right here, put Mr. T. And if you get as close as he did with Mr. T without any issue, good for you. But I'm pretty sure not you, not everyone in his single right mind will get as close as he did. They will actually respect Mr. T's personal space. If you have that double standard, get out of my channel. Period. Okay? It's easy. Respect another person's personal space. Period. So it's kind of funny to see sometimes how people react to something as simple as your personal space. Oh, yeah, this guy said it's not like he grabbed her ass. That's what he said. Oh, what are you talking about, personal space? It's not like he grabbed her ass. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not all it takes to make a woman feel uncomfortable. It's a little less than that. Like, oh, do you really think I'm only gonna get pissed because you grabbed my ass? No, it started a long time before. Okay, animated series is what got me into Star Trek since it came out when I was 5, and I watched it then. I haven't seen anything of Star Trek, the animated series, and I make a huge effort to avoid any kind of spoilers, okay? I tell them to get alive, just not mine. Good point. Woke is what happens after sleep. You know what? It used to mean the same for me too. Yeah. Well, it means it's a level of control because they think they want something. I don't think they want something. I think think they are entitled to everything. And this is why I just don't feel identified with this ideology. Like, not because I was born does it mean that I am entitled to something, unless those are my human rights. Period. Saw it again on TCM. I don't get TCM here in Mexico. I used to watch the A Team. I never got to watch the A Team. I do know that Mr. T was in it. I do know pretty much the gist of the A Team. When I first started planning doing this channel, almost 4 years ago, I I knew that I wanted to react to something. I wanted to react. This is something that I knew that I wanted to do, but I didn't know what to react. And that's when I thought maybe I should start, instead of going to the newest series, like the newest episode of the newest thing, maybe I should go back and start watching the classics. And A Team was one of those series that I considered on first watching. The problem is that no streaming service that I had back then has the A Team. So that's why it's a big no no. Well, it was a big no no. There were many series considered. I was gonna either watch the A Team. I thought about Wonder Woman, because when I started the channel, that was 2020, and the Marvel craze was just like still rolling a little with Avengers Endgame had just been on the cinemas, and there was like, all these plans for phase 4, like WandaVision and Loki and all those TV shows. And I thought maybe I should watch the old Marvel shows, like the old Spider-Man. Couldn't watch Spider-Man, so I thought, okay, let's not watch Marvel, let's watch DC. Wonder Woman, I couldn't watch it because it's not available in my country either. So I thought about MacGyver. I thought about Doctor Who. I thought about the Clone Wars from Star Wars. And I couldn't watch any of those because they were already in Disney Plus, and I didn't have Disney Plus back in the day. So the only available series that I could watch was Star Trek. Okay. Then I made a very conscious decision that, dude, I had already watched the new movies. How come I hadn't watched the original series? And that's why I started. Thank you for the Twilight Zone reactions. I also considered the Incredible Hulk. I also thought about it, but none of them were available. So that's why I couldn't watch any of the Marvel old series. And I really wanted to watch, either I remember there was the Spider-Man series from back in the day. I do remember the Lou Ferrigno Hulk, but I just couldn't watch them. It's this thing, the geolocalization thing or whatever you want to call it, but I couldn't watch it. Anyway, sorry, I missed. When I was a kid, one sci-fi show I liked was the $6 Million Man. Yeah, here we called it the Nuclear Man. I'm not kidding. That's how we used to name this TV series. Season 1, Broken Bow, where Hoshi Sato has trouble conversation with an alien, makes me cry every time. Well, I'm gonna have to wait for what I suppose this is from the animated series, David. Yeah, the 70s Captain America. Shut up about my scream with William Shatner, Tabata. Shut it. Like, I was pissing my pants when I saw the gremlin. Holy crap, that was scary. Anyway, so, yeah, the Captain America from the 70s. When I saw that I couldn't find a single Marvel series, I just gave up. Oh, my favorite sci-fi before I started. My favorite sci-fi TV show. Oh shit. Well, I loved Dark, this German TV series from Netflix. I loved it. What else? What else was sci-fi? I'm trying to remember. What was I watching? Well, I love Black Mirror, and Black Mirror is, some people don't consider it to be sci-fi. I do think it's sci-fi because it's based on science and technology to get to the point where they are. And I'm a big fan of Black Mirror. Oh, Westworld. Holy crap. Westworld back in the day really blew my mind. The first two seasons are amazing. I watched them four. Obviously, I was really disappointed with seasons three and four. Knight Rider, yeah. Here we used to watch the Knight Rider, but we used to call it the Incredible Car. But I do remember some episodes from Knight Rider. So yeah, uh, and I just learned, this is something I didn't know, but today I learned that David Hasselhoff made the Nick Fury movie. I already watched Westworld from 1973. I watched it because I had already watched the first two seasons, so I decided to watch the one with Jules Briner. Awesome movie. I thought it was really good. What I haven't watched is Future World, and I know that's like a few years after Westworld, and I haven't watched Future World, but I know that I will have to watch it, and I'm really kind of sorry that I watched the Westworld movie way before I watched my channel. I remember I watched the Westworld movie right after the second season from the TV series ended because I was like so in for the series, you know. But alas, I had no idea that I was gonna make this channel, but I would have loved to react to that movie back in the day. Battlestar Galactica, a lot of people has recommended this and also the Stargate series. I'm gonna have to check if I get the time for watching those series because, for example, the reason why I didn't watch Doctor Who is that it's incredibly long. Quantum Leap. I know every single episode from Quantum Leap. So yeah, I don't think what, but that was one of my favorite series back in the 90s. I was a big fan of Quantum Leap, so got that. Um, but I can't remember what else, what other series I used to watch. The Outer Limits. I've been mentioned. Well, some people has mentioned the Outer Limits from the 60s, but I haven't been able to get it. So, if you guys know a way that I can get those series or those movies that you want me to watch, please let me know. 2001. Yeah, I was actually saying how I've already watched it when I was probably 11 or 12 years old, and I know that I didn't watch the movie complete. I know that it was already started when I watched it, and some scenes are still very clear. And I would like to revisit 2001 just to see it from a completely different perspective, having watched already a lot more, especially having watched, Forbidden Planet, and probably by then I've already watched a couple of more movies. Um, so, yeah. There's a 70s Battlestar Galactica, there's only one season. Oh, well, I didn't know that. So, the thing is, I would love to watch all of that. I just cannot see it. Like, I cannot get it. I'd send them to you. I do have a region free DVD player, and I think I can. I will have to ask my brother in law if I can share his P.O. box for people in the US that wants to send something to his P.O. box. So sending it to Mexico doesn't get that expensive, maybe. And probably that will be a way to get to watch some of those really amazing series. I also wanted to watch two series that are not exactly sci-fi. The first one would be Adamant. I saw a couple of episodes back in Scotland and I thought it was amazing, and I thought it was, it had this 60s vibe, more like it was still black and white, and I thought it would be kind of like a very different type of series to watch. And the other series that I wanted to watch is Spaced. Not because it's sci-fi, but because Simon Pegg is in the diplomatic immunity list. Sorry. Simon Pegg. It's in the list now. Simon Pegg. So I wanted to watch Spaced. It's still in the works that I probably am going to react to, what is it, like 21 episodes from Spaced? So yeah, that's a definitely gonna watch series. Time Tunnel. I have never heard. Okay, I'm gonna write that one down. Time Tunnel and the Battlestar Galactica from the 70s. It's in my list now. Okay, let me see what else, you guys. Yeah, of course, I know Simon Pegg was Scotty, and I love the Scottish accent he portrayed there. That's a good thing about being married to a Scottish woman. VPN. Yeah, I've been thinking about maybe hiring a good VPN service, considering that there's so many series that I'm not able to watch and that I will really love to react to. So, maybe I'll have to look at some prices here and there and see if it's worth the subscription for some of those. A Twitch. I don't know how to use Twitch. Surviving classic Doctor Who. Oh. Yeah, the thing is, I know that some of the Doctor Who stuff is gone, so I thought. So basically, all I would have to watch from Doctor Who, I think they relaunched it back in 2003, 2004, somewhere there. So I'm not really sure about reacting to Doctor Who, although I would love to watch it, but I have been keeping it on hold because I'm not really decided if I'm going to watch it for this channel or not. Listen, I love Carl Urban, okay? Huge fan. He's the god of the nerds. I'm not a nerd, but he's been on everything that every single nerd has been. Like, he was on, the Ring thing, Lord of the Rings, Star Trek, and The Boys. I'm a big fan of The Boys, and he was in the Riddick series. Like, he's done a lot of things that I've really enjoyed. Like Doom, the Doom movie also. The Red movie. Man, I love Carl Urban. And I have to say, he always acts like the tough guy. But when he was Dr. McCoy, he was actually kind of sweet. He does remind me a little bit of this vibe. Probably not physically speaking, but he does remind me of his, I'm not a mechanic, I'm a doctor and all that. He made a really good effort in portraying Dr. McCoy. Okay, so I do respect. Oh man, he was the best Judge Dredd. Holy crap, he was the best. Like Sylvester who? Carl Urban, honey. Anyway. Okay, briefly explain the diplomatic immunity list. So I'm making the diplomatic immunity list, which means that every single person that you see in this list will never receive a bad criticism from me. That's it. Okay? So I got Nichelle Nichols, William Campbell, and Simon Pegg so far. They get absolutely no bad mouthing from me. That's it. So, continue. Yeah, listen, I got Discord. I don't know how to use Discord, and I don't know how to use Twitch because I'm an old lady. So if somebody teaches me how to use that, because I have an account on Discord and I decided not to use it on Twitch because I don't know how to use it. Anyway, the Time Tunnel I already wrote down, from the 60s. Simon Pegg, VPN, No Carl Urban, Really Span, saw the Time Tunnel in the 70s was good. I'll have to give it a I'm gonna have to Google that one. Mostly the second. I spend a lot of time on Twitch. It is for live streams. Go figure. That's why I didn't know what it's for. There is no Doom movie. Yes, there is a Doom movie. Like I mean, the video game Doom. It's with The Rock and Carl Urban. Oh, we are denying its existence and we only acknowledge that 5 minute scene from Doom? Probably. I never played the game though. A lot of the old Who has survived and it's still watchable. What has been lost, they've slowly been making animated versions of using old audio clips that have survived. Well, that's actually kind of interesting. Like, it's sad to see that some of those things actually were gone. It's I don't know if you guys know Wallace and Gromit. All the original sets were burned in a fire, and that was actually kind of sad to hear. I'm a big fan of Wallace and Gromit, by the way. So it happens, and it also happened to Doctor Who, and it's such a shame because back in the day, I knew that Doctor Who had a big following before the relaunch. I'm an old man. I know how to use those things. I don't. Discord's just a chat room. Yeah, I couldn't find like, can I make my own room? Will people join? Do I have to join other rooms? Do the rooms are like arbitrarily placed? I had no idea how to use it, so that's why I have it, but I don't know how to use it. BBC taped over it. Oh my god, the VVC. Okay. Do I have no? I haven't made my own Twitch account, so I'll probably have to start one next week. When I've been on hiatus for the past 2 weeks now. Family issues, nothing wrong, nothing bad happening. It's just family issues. This is why I haven't been able to react to anything so far. But I'll probably have to catch up because you guys probably don't know unless you're a patron or a YouTube member, but I started also a website that can only be accessed through Patreon or the YouTube membership, and that's where I've been posting some things. But I also want to expand this website by adding some other stuff that can make all this Mothership thing complete, because sometimes I post here, sometimes I post on Instagram, sometimes I put some things on TikTok, and some things are posted on my Patreon and so on and so on. But I want to make a website where everything is like absolutely covered. This means I will have to work a little more, and I don't need more work. I need more money, but I definitely do not need more work so far. But I'm probably gonna have to give it a little bit of time investment just to set the website going. This is something that I forgot to announce also, that I'm doing this website, but I know that I'm gonna have to make like two. I'm gonna have to get some point where some part is accessible for everybody and some other parts is only available for patrons and members. But probably next week I'll start a Twitch channel just to maybe once a week I can do a weekend live stream and share more stuff about Star Trek and the old series, and maybe discuss some of the episodes that I've watched so far. I can't remember when was the last time I made a live stream. I do remember that I made this live stream and I made a big effort trying to watch the Velma series, and I only watched the first 2 episodes, and it was so bad that it hurt my eyes and I could not unsee what I just watched. And but ever since, I don't remember what other episodes I watched from Star Trek, and sometimes I think it will be a good exercise just to sit here and discuss the new episodes that I've watched of Star Trek with you guys. And like, I would love to discuss probably The Trouble with Tribbles, which was awesome. It was fun. Okay, I really enjoyed watching that episode because it was bananas, but it wasn't like Wolf in the Fall bananas. It was a good banana. Okay, that's what I have to say about that. Um, Sadly, in the early 60s, the BBC had no idea that syndication and reruns were ever going to be a thing. Sadly, they destroyed a lot of the old master copies when they needed storage space. That's so awful. Especially, couldn't they just use something else to erase? Like, why did they have to choose Doctor Who? Right? Anyway, horrible, horrible thing. Tapes from the 50s TVs were just dumped into the East River in New York to be. This is supposed to be a happy place. Let's not mention Velma. Yeah, let's not mention. Like, we can trash it. Like, this is a happy place. I'm happy trashing things, especially if that's bad shit. If I can trash it, I'm happy. So that's why this is a happy place. Let's trash the bad things. Okay, early NASA discussed tape dumping reused after the news. It will be a horrible mistake, especially because NASA's tape are not entertainment. They are research. Why would you dump that? No. Hell no. Why would. No. NASA, what are you talking about? Can somebody get me through them? Because I need to say a couple of things. No. Why? No. Anyway. So, I want to do some recommendations of movies that I watched recently. One of them. This is not sci-fi, but they're worth watching. The first one would be The Menu. If you haven't watched The Menu, please stop what you're doing. Stop watching this live stream. Go watch it right now. Do it. Second thing that I would like to recommend is a movie that I already made my sister go watch it. It's called The Last Duel. This is a Ridley Scott movie. So if you know what Ridley Scott has directed, you know that this is a great movie. It has Matt Damon, Adam Driver, Jodie Comer in it. I think even Jaron Crab. No, it's not Jaron Crabbe. It's another guy with a very funny name is in it. Please watch it. It's an amazing real case from back in the medieval times. And as you know, Ridley Scott is really good at doing medieval movies. Well, any period piece, he's absolutely great at it. But also, great sci-fi. Those two, if you haven't watched them, please do so. I highly recommend those. I also, well, this is not something that I watched recently. It's Everything Everywhere All at Once. I've already spoken about this one, but if you haven't watched it, I don't know how to describe this movie. It's like you have a drama movie, and it's going, and it just get punched in the face by a sci-fi movie. Watch it. It's amazing. Okay, and well, basically, that will be it. I think I mentioned when the comments that I'm good at trashing some episodes. Well, I'm getting some inspiration on great YouTubers because back in the day I didn't know how to address the unvoted. Let's not call it bad episodes. Let's just call it the unvoted episodes. And the thing is that I always try to be respectful with the episodes. I've tried not to like, oh my god, that episode was a piece of shit. I've tried not to do that, okay? But I didn't know how to approach them. And then I started getting inspiration from other YouTubers, and I started getting some ideas on how to approach when an episode is really bad. And just be honest about it, but try to be honest in a more comical way. The problem with doing that is that I have to think so much about jokes that will actually fit there. That's probably the hardest part of writing, and I am not a writer. I'm a reactor, but I am not a writer. And so now I've been learning on writing scripts so that I can deliver a lot easier these episodes that deserve a review, but they deserve my treatment of a review, if you know what I mean. So, yeah. I lived in LA walking by Paramount Studios. They were throwing away headshots of famous stars from the 30s on up 55-gallon drums. About 6. I call my dad and we rescue some. So, whose headshots were those that you rescued? came out this year's Oppenheimer. I haven't watched Oppenheimer, and I didn't watch Barbie either. So I have no idea what to do with those movies. I do want to watch Oppenheimer, obviously, but I'm just waiting, for the good stuff before anything happens. Um, if you guys get to watch this B movie, the Nick Fury movie with David Hasselhoff, if you really want to hate something, watch that movie because it's horrible. Anyway, I think I'm just gonna call it today because I'm already gonna be running for 2 hours. I've already been speaking for 111 minutes nonstop. Um, but yeah, if you have any recommendations on movies that I could react to, I really need more ideas. Like so far, I've only been stuck with the idea that I'm gonna watch The Day the Earth Stood Still because a lot of people has recommended that, and The War of the Worlds from the 50s. Um, but so far I really haven't made up my mind if I should revisit 2001 or maybe I should just do a review of 2001 because um no. I'm talking about any movies. Like for example, I did The Searchers. The Searchers is not sci-fi, and I really enjoyed it because that was my first John Wayne movie. That's why I went for it. And well, my first movie was Godzilla, from the 54, the original Japanese movie, but I would say that still fits there as sci-fi-ish. 2010, the sequel. Well, could be. Maybe I could do both movies. Like, I've already watched 2001. I'm going to revisit it. And then 2010. Maybe. That's not a bad idea. Maybe doing both as a singleton kind of thing. Maybe. I don't know. Not a bad idea going for the sequel. Um, yeah, peace and love, everyone. Like, I hope you guys have a great Sunday tomorrow. I'm gonna be kind of busy tomorrow, so that's why I decided to do this. I try to do my live streams on Sunday because it's a lot easier, but tomorrow is not gonna be an easy day to do it, so that's why I chose today. Anyway, I showed you Enemy Mine. I love Enemy Mine. I actually mentioned Enemy Mine in my Amok Time reaction video. I love Dennis Quaid. And he looked hot in that movie. So, of course, I watched it when I was a child. I must have been probably 12 also when I watched Enemy Mine. So, yeah, I love it. But I haven't watched Enemy Mine in like 25 years or something. I remember I watched Enemy Mine, and then I can remember this movie with Dennis Quaid as well, where he goes in Martin Short, that he becomes tiny and he goes into this ship inside of Martin Short. I saw those two, I think one day, and Inner Space, yes, thank you, Inner Space. I watched those two movies. I think I saw Enemy Mine one day, and then the next day I watched Inner Space. So I'm a big fan of both Dennis Quaid and his son, Jack. Without knowing, well, Shawshank Redemption, seen it. I've seen the first Godfather, Dark Knight. I've obviously seen them, all of them on at the cinema. 12 Angry Men. Now here's the thing. I did made a vote. Well, I made a poll between 12 Angry Men and The Searchers, and The Searchers won. So maybe 12 Angry Men could be a backup plan movie because I'm really interested in watching 12 Angry Men. Schindler's List, I own it. I own that one. I own the Dark Knight trilogy. I think I only have the third movie, but I know the other two by heart. I know that my sister owns the first. I have seen the first Godfather. I haven't watched the second though, or the third. But yeah, the thing is, I watch a lot of movies. That's a thing. I watch a lot of movies, and especially movies from the 90s. I'm not kidding. I was looking at all the movies that Kurt Russell has done. I was trying to find a movie from Kurt Russell, and I couldn't remember the name. And I checked. I have watched every single movie from Kurt Russell from the 90s. Like, I used to watch a lot of movies, and I still do. So some of the new movies that people might recommend me, I've already watched it. Not so much with TV series, okay? I was more of a cinephile rather than a TV series person. Escape from New York, love it. Tombstone, I still have it from my old VCR. Tombstone, Overboard, man, I loved Overboard. That was great. Yeah, I know that he did some Disney. I've seen, this part where he, back in the 60s, where he acted with Elvis Presley and he kicks his shin. So yeah, I cannot say myself, I cannot call myself, I'm a Kurt Russell fan, but he's good. He's really good. But yeah, Tombstone, it's a big favorite of mine. Doc Holliday, Michael Bean, oh my goodness. Used Cars. I don't funny, I think I've seen it, but I don't know the name in Spanish. Here's the thing though, that in Spanish we change the names. For example, you say Tombstones, here is Los Justicieros, which means the justice man. It happened at the World Fair. Yeah, he was 9 years old when he kicked his shin. Elvis Presley. And I know that then he played the voice of Elvis Presley in Forrest Gump. He's the voice that they used for Mr. Presley. Tombstone, yeah, like I said, I owned it. If you want to stay in westerns, Once Upon a Time in the West and the Dollars trilogy. Once Upon a Time in the West. Yeah, I haven't seen it. The Dollars. Is that Clint Eastwood? I don't know. I saw it in the theater. Oh my goodness. It happened. Best of Times is a national treasure. Oh, I didn't know about the Gilligan's Island. Yeah, I didn't know that he was in some of these episodes. But yeah, I mean, Kurt Russell is basically Hollywood's royalty. Like, man, the guy's hitting 70. He looks amazing, by the way, to be his age. He is in top shape. And, just, you gotta love the guy, And you gotta love this guy. I remember watching some other old Kurt Russell movies, and I thought he just looked awesome. I thought he was very cute looking. The same thing happened with Jeff Bridges back in the day. I used to think back in the 80s and 90s, Jeff Bridges was just so good looking. And then he just became an old prune. He was in a Man from Uncle episode. I might want to consider, Man from Uncle. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yes, I've watched it. I think my dad owns that movie. And I have to say, I was really old when I watched the Encounters. I think I was 29 when I watched for the Encounters of the Third Kind. I think I was 29, 30 something, Still happily not married to Goldie Hawn. Go figure. That's one of those things that I'm really surprised, some couples that really last forever, like, Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson. Yeah, when I first watched it, I was really that old. I just knew a lot about the movies, but I had never really watched it. Director's cut extends the ECN scene. The end, oh, that was like ECN scene. I think that's what my dad has. I don't know, but I think my dad has that movie because there was this time back, I don't know, last decade from 2010 and something. My dad started buying DVDs like crazy, and then he moved to Blu-rays, and so he has like a huge shelf, like I don't know, two or three shelves of movies and movies and movies and movies. Oh, and don't recommend Dune either because I've watched both Dune movies. I can pass for 25. Thank you. Makeup. That's the trick. But no, I'm much older than that. Uh, but yeah, some great movies I really waited until really late. And I think the problem with watching movies at an early age that would have been good to watch is that we didn't get them. We couldn't find them anywhere. Unless they were really successful movies, you will get them on VHS and then on DVD. But there were a lot of movies that they just wouldn't get to Mexico. And if they did, they will come like 3 years after they were premiered. So there's a lot of confusion with sometimes the movies and the order. One big example would be the Indiana Jones movies. We didn't get the first Indiana Jones here in Mexico. Hold it, I'm not done. We didn't get it, but it turned out to be a huge success in the United States. And then when the Temple of Doom came out, it was another big success in the US. And so they brought the Temple of Doom to Mexico first, and then the next year they brought Raiders of the Lost Ark. Here's the problem though, Temple of Doom is a prequel. Okay, it happens like 2 or 3 years before the Raiders of the Lost Ark. So here in Mexico, a lot of people was like, no, wait, the first movie is the Temple of Doom, and then is the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Even the years go in order. And no, turns out that they had done this switch of the movies, and this is why a lot of people got confused back in the 80s. Okay, until the third movie came out in 1989, that's when we started getting the movies back in 1988, 1989. Movies were actually premiered the same year, not the same month, not the same week, the same year as they were in the United States. For example, RoboCop was from 1986, I think. It was not in Mexico until 1988. That's how late we used to get the movies. So that's why there's a lot of great movies that has a great cult following them. I didn't know about them because I'm a child of the 80s. So, I didn't get to watch those movies until now because of the streaming services, because the internet. I own Blade Runner and I have the director's cut as well. So yeah, Blade Runner is a great favorite of mine because of Harrison Ford. I'm a huge Harrison Ford. Tron, love the movie, love the sequel as well. There's an ambulance. Okay, so I saw Blade Runner 2049. I think it was probably one of the few movies that were worth that year. Clash of the Titans, loved it. Not so much the second, the remake. Um, I do like Sam Worthington though. That's probably the only reason. And Ray Fiennes. I'm a huge Ray Fiennes fan. As you can see, that's Ray Fiennes over there. And that's the soundtrack from Strange Days. So I'm a huge fan. That's the only reason why I watched it. But I do remember watching Clash of the Titans when I was 6, maybe 7 years old. Jason and the Argonauts. I watched that movie only and only because of the special effects made by Harryhausen. I started watching a lot of stop motion stuff back in the day, and I was really interested in seeing how these effects were made. So I started watching some of his work because of Clash of the Titans, and that's why I watched Jason and the Argonauts. But I saw it like probably 20 years ago, maybe not 20 years. Yeah, 18 years ago probably when I watched Jason and the Argonauts. But because I was a big fan. Valley of the Wangi. I have never watched that one. Valley of the Wangi. Okay. Valley of the Wangi. Okay. The original King Kong from 1933. I haven't watched it completely. I watched a lot of shots where the stop motion happens. Here is, since I lived right next to an avenue, there's like a little park on this side, right next to this window. But on my living room, on the other side of the apartment, I am right next to an avenue. So I get a lot of noise from both sides. And this is probably one of the reasons that my full reactions have little cuts every now and then. And that's when the noise is just too much. And I have to cut it just for the sake of not interrupting or distracting from it. A Night to Remember. I haven't seen it either. Every time I hear Clash of the Titans, all I can see is how it ruined Harry Hamlin's. Jesus. I think the one bad thing I can say about the first Clash of the Titans movie is, oh my god, what's the name of the girl? Andromeda? Artemis? I can't remember, but the girl that appears in the 1981 movie, she's a Barbie doll. Like, she's beautiful. But she can act for life. I mean, she can't even act in self-defense. It was, yeah, Andromeda. She was like plank. Honestly, every time I see it, I just cannot stop laughing at this girl's performance. Can't even remember her name. But yeah, I do remember it was Harry Hamlin's that was the first sexiest man alive, named by People's Magazine. I think this is one of the things that happened to him. That he was like sexiest man alive in 1983, if I'm not mistaken, right after the Clash of the Titans. I think it's him. Poor guy, never saw anything. Same thing happened to Sam Worthington. Like, he made a couple of good movies and then boom, his career just went really downhill. And it's a shame because I really like Sam Worthington, but he's not really that much of a strong actor though. He's got a great presence. I loved him in some movies, but yeah, he I don't know. He still lacks something, you know. Something that other actors do have, like Adam Driver. Adam Driver is an amazing actor. And I really respect, even though he was Kylo Ren, I respect the man tremendously because of how great an actor he is, and how much fun you can. Adam Driver is the kind of actor that you see him working and you can see him enjoying acting. Like, he's swimming in freedom, and this is one of the things that I really enjoy about his work. He's so good at it. Sorry, I missed this comment. Wasn't even the movie itself. During the press tour to promote the movie, they were supposed to go to South Africa, was vocally at the apartheid government and refused to promote. Oh! That's a shame what happened to him. And he was against something really bad, like apartheid or apartheid. In Mexico, we call it apartheid. It's a horrible thing that used to be back in South Africa. But you know, you have to be a really heavyweight actor to do something like that and still be respected, like The Godfather. You know, totally forgot this guy's name, but he rejected an Oscar. He rejected an Oscar, and he sent a Native American woman to you know, respectfully decline the Oscar, and still people was like, oh my god, he's the best. He was one of the best. But yeah, you only being such a big heavyweight champion like he was, Marlon Brando, thank you. Only being such a heavyweight, would you really do something like that and get away with it? Yeah, the thing is, you earn people's respect, but in the end, it's Daddy Hollywood who pays the bills, you know? So, it's a shame. I mean, I'm a big fan of Hollywood in terms of all the magic it creates, because I've been living in their dreams, you know? I've been living every single movie that I watch from there. But it's hell. Like, why would, like, Two words: Harvey Weinstein. Why would you want to work in such a terrible environment? But then again, you look at all the magic it creates, and it's like, you know, George C. Scott refused his because he didn't think actors should be competing. Well, that's a very nice thing to think about, but in all honesty, humankind has always been competing. That's why we have Olympics since the time of the Greeks. Well, ancient Greece. It's always a competition. You know, there is always a competition. Best movie, best architect, best bubblegum flavor, best everything. It's a human. I do believe that competition is a true human trait because animals compete among themselves to be the leader, and so humans compete for everything. You know, best makeup, best designer, best music, best Grammys. You know, we got EGOT winners. Do I feel like no? I don't feel I compete because I am nowhere near them to compete. I don't even look at them as competition. I look at them more like inspiration. You know, that's how I see it. I don't see myself competing. I just feel like, you know, some of the reactors that I really like watching are Nikki and Steve are probably two of my favorites. I love the chemistry. I mean, they're husband and wife. I love the way that they do things. I love the fact that they actually do dad jokes watching a horror movie. They are really great, and they are one of the first reactors I ever started watching. I am now watching Bad Medicine. I don't know if you guys have heard of this channel. I like the guys there. They are really big guys. Bad Medicine are mainly three, but sometimes they invite more people to join their channel, and so they're really big guys. You can see that they really, you know, they lift weights and all, and you see them crying because they just watched Coco from Disney, you know, and you see this big guy crying his eyes out and then opening up about how important this movie was for him because of his grandmother's relationship and all that. So yeah, those are two channels that I can recall right away. I also like, I just discovered Alex Hefner's channel. I don't know where has he been living the past 30 years. I think he's 29. Anyway, but he's like reacting to the original Star Wars movie, like reacting to some movies that you go like, what do you mean you've never watched Star Wars? What the hell? I could I could understand that from a 12-year-old, not from a 29-year-old. Like where you've been living all this time. So, his channel is he's okay. I like the way that he reacts. But yeah, I would say those two channels like Bad Medicine and Nikki and Steve React are some of my favorites, especially because one of the things that really surprised me is how quickly I think Steve from Nikki and Steve is an editor, and that makes things so a lot easier for them because they watch an episode and 6 hours later they already have their video up, and I could tell that because when they were reacting to Better Call Saul, episodes would start at 2 a.m. and they would have the episode already ready for the reaction at 8 in the morning. So this guy would only take 6 hours to edit the videos. That's quick. I wish I could do that quickly my editing. And I take days and my edition is still shite. Life is competing. Yeah, I would agree. It's not precisely a good thing that you will compete for everything, but I just think it's a natural thing for humans. Harvey Weinstein stuff by Muggles has been going on since the beginning of movies. I know. It's a good thing that now we know about these things and that I think he got jail time, right? But it's a horrible thing that all of these women like Ashley Judd and Gwyneth Paltrow and all these women had to go through such a predator. It's horrible. I've watched some reactors that watched The Empire Strikes Back for the first time. They were shocked to find out about that, but like, yeah, where were they? It's a meme. Like, I'm your father. That's a meme. How could you have missed it? But okay, if they got it by surprise, it's great to see them going through that moment. Like that's his father. Big Trouble in Little China. Love it. Like especially James Wong in that movie. It's amazing. But yeah. Anyway, I've been saying goodbye for the past 2 hours and I'm now saying goodbye for real. Thank you everyone for the 14 of you that came to my channel and watched this. I'll try to make more live streams like this more often. Like I said, I finally found some sort of a routine. So I really hope that I will be able to do some more of these videos. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 3 months. I still have some plans going there, but I really don't want to talk about those plans until they become reality. So far, thank you for joining me again. If you have any more recommendations, don't forget to leave it in any of my videos. I'm always checking the comments on my videos. So anything you have, like check this episode, check this movie, check this new series, or if you guys want me to react to trailers of movies that are coming next, maybe I can also react to some of those. Have I seen Mad Max? Yes, and I love it. And I also watched the black and chrome edition that was on Amazon Prime. And if you haven't watched the black and chrome edition, watch it because it's really beautiful to my eyes. It's not as colorful, but it's really striking and it gives a different vibe to the movie. So if you guys can check it, go check it. Yeah, and by the way, I've seen all Mad Max movies also, and I have to say one of my favorites has to be the second, especially because of that chase scene. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I will be seeing you in the next week and hopefully I can react to, oh my god, I can't remember the Gamesters of Triskelion. I think it's the next episode after the Trouble with Tribbles. The Gamesters of Triskelion. Yeah, I think that's the next. So I hope I can watch this episode next Wednesday. If I have nothing else to do, I'll probably go watch it, and I hope to get the episode ready for the next Monday, which will be the soonest I can deliver, because it takes a while. So I take so long editing the videos. Anyway, I'll see you. Take care. Have a great night, and bye bye. How do I? Oh, here.